Zachipedia, and today we're going to be discussing the Battle of Hastings. Now, the Battle of Hastings is basically just a complex web of events that just means the foundation of modern England. Now, in order to go over that, we have to go back about 2 centuries before it even happened. Now, in the 800 CE, what we now know as modern England and Wales was separated into separate Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. The Angles were originally from Wales, and the Saxons were originally from Germany, who came to England and interbred to form the Anglo-Saxons, the main civilization there. Now, there were kingdoms such as Mercia, Sussex, Wessex, Northumbria, and more. Now, in around the mid-800s CE, the Vikings from Norway came down and invaded all of these Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. All but one. And that was in southwest modern England, and it was known as Wessex. Now, that survived because of its king, Alfred the Great. He was a brilliant military strategist and was able to successfully defend his nation against the Vikings. Now, because of this, some people consider Alfred the Great to be the first king of England. Though in my opinion, I don't really consider him the first king of England. I just consider him a great king of Wessex, because I believe the first king of united England was William the Conqueror, who united England, who I'm going to go over in a minute. Now, because of this, Wessex was the only remaining Anglo-Saxon kingdom and survived for about 200 years, until in 1066, a succession crisis occurred. Edward the Confessor, the king of Wessex at the time, died without an heir or a successor, and therefore left the nation in crisis. 3 people claimed that they were the true heirs to the throne. The first was an Anglo-Saxon nobleman named Harold Godwinson, who was most popular with the people and was probably the most suitable candidate for the throne. The second was Harald Hardrada, who was the king of Norway and the leader of the Norwegian Vikings, who was fierce and mighty. Now, he didn't have as strong as a claim to the throne, but he and all 3 of the other contenders claimed that Edward the Confessor promised them to be heir. Now, the final claimant was the Duke of Normandy, named William. Now, since the closest claimant to Wessex was the nobleman Harold Godwinson, he and his cavalry went to St. Paul's Cathedral in Wessex and crowned himself King Harold of Wessex. Now, unsurprisingly, that didn't make him too popular with the other 2 candidates. And so, in September of 1066, Harald Hardrada and his legendary army came down and started marching towards Wessex. Now, though Harold Godwinson didn't have as powerful as an army as Harold Godwinson and Harold Hardrada, he still was a brilliant military strategist, and they fought in the city of Hastings, which was now in Scotland, and, believe it or not, Harold Godwinson won. He defeated Hardrada and his legendary army and left Norway in a succession crisis. Now, it was a great military triumph for Godwinson and the Anglo-Saxons, except there was just one problem. It took lots of work to finally defeat Harald Hardrada, and so Godwinson and his armies were exhausted afterwards and couldn't wait to come home. Unfortunately, there was just one problem with going home, for there was still one more contender, the Duke of Normandy, William. William and his fresh new army marched up all the way to the city of Hastings in Middle England and had a standoff with the remaining of Godwinson's armies. Tired, they were immediately defeated, and William was now the king of Wessex. However, there was one catch to this. The truth was that William, in the process of gaining towards Harold Godwinson, conquered all of the land in modern England that belonged to the Vikings, which was just modern England and Wessex. Therefore, he now was able to found a new kingdom, which he called England, after the Angles, the original inhabitants. Now, William became King William I of England, and is known by most historians as the first king of United England, and later the United Kingdom. Now, because of this, we now have a strong, thriving country that has given us things such as supplies of baguettes and certain things that we now know from England. Now, I must say farewell.